Let's talk about constrictive pericarditis. Normally, the heart is covered with a thin layer of pericardium, but due to some disease, this thin layer of pericardium may become very thick and it constricts our heart. This is the pathophysiology of constrictive pericarditis. Let's see various causes of constrictive pericarditis. According to the cause, this constrictive pericarditis is divided into two parts. First is pyopericarditis. This is called pyopericarditis because here the reason behind this thick pericardium is pus. And second is our tubercular pericarditis. This is called tubercular pericarditis because here the reason is tuberculosis. Now let's see various symptoms of constrictive pericarditis. This symptom can be divided into two parts. First is due to constriction of right ventricle and second is due to constriction of left ventricle. Because of the constriction of right ventricle, there will be peripheral pooling of blood, which result in pedal edema and which eventually lead to ascites, and sometimes many patients develop hepatomegaly. Another condition we can find in right ventricular constriction is Kussmaul sign. Normally what happens at the time of inspiration, our JVP will fall, but in various conditions like constrictive pericarditis and restrictive cardiomyopathy, our JVP will paradoxically increase. This is called Kussmaul sign. Now let's see various symptoms developed due to constriction of left ventricle. As there is constriction of left ventricle, the blood will pool into the lung, which result in pulmonary edema, which eventually lead to dyspnea. Because of this constriction of left ventricle, there will be decreased cardiac output, which lead to exercise intolerance. Now let's see various findings we will get at the time of examination of constrictive pericarditis. If you see the pulse of this patient, we will get pulsus paradoxus. Normally what happens at the time of inspiration, there will be decrease in pulse pressure. This decrease is roughly about 8 to 10 mmHg. But in a condition like constrictive pericarditis, this decrease will be more than 20 mmHg. This is called pulsus paradoxus. The second finding we will get is Kussmaul sound, as explained previously, and also we can get prominent X and prominent Y descent. The third finding will be increased liver span. This is because hepatomegaly. The fourth finding will be pulmonary crepitation. This is because pulmonary edema. And the fifth finding will be ascites. Let's see the diagnosis part of constrictive pericarditis. The main differential diagnosis of constrictive pericarditis is restrictive cardiomyopathy. To differentiate this constrictive pericarditis from restrictive cardiomyopathy, the first thing we can do is endomyocardial biopsy. In endomyocardial biopsy, we will get calcification of pericardium at constrictive pericarditis, and in restrictive cardiomyopathy, we will get fibrosis. The other finding will be similar like restrictive cardiomyopathy. Those are, first is ECG. In ECG, we will get narrow voltage ECG, and there may be non-specific ST changes. The second investigation will be chest X-ray. In chest X-ray, we will get egg in a cup appearance. The third investigation will be CT chest. In CT chest, we will get characteristic finding of constrictive pericarditis. This is our calcification of pericardium. And the fourth investigation will be Doppler. In Doppler, we will get square root wave sign like restrictive cardiomyopathy. And the last thing is treatment. We can treat this disease by stripping off pericardium.